shaped by society. Our societies, in the broader sense, including our theological, our metaphysical, our linguistic influences, etc., our societies help shape us as to whether or not we think life is basically about sin or about beauty, whether the afterlife will carry a price for how we live our lives or if it's irrelevant. In a broad sort of way, different large societies could be termed as individualistic or collectivist, and you get very different people and different mindsets, and I suspect different brains coming along with that. We in America are in one of the most individualistic of societies, and capitalism being a system that allows you to go higher and higher up a potential pyramid, and the deal is it comes with fewer and fewer safety nets. By definition, the more stratified a society is, the fewer people you have as peers, the fewer people with whom you have symmetrical, reciprocal relationships, and instead all you have are differing spots and endless hierarchies. And a world in which you have few reciprocal partners is a world with a lot less altruism. Alright, so this brings us to a total impossible juncture, which is to try to make sense in the perspective of science as to what the nature is of human nature. You know, on a certain level, the nature of our nature is not to be particularly constrained by our nature. We come up with more social variability than any species out there, more systems of belief, of styles of family structures, of ways of raising children. The capacity for variety that we have is extraordinary.
In a society which is predicated on competition and really very often the ruthless exploitation of one human being by another, the profiteering of other people's problems, and very often the creation of problems for the purpose of profiteering, the ruling ideology will very often justify that behavior by appeals to some fundamental and unalterable human nature. So the myth in our society is that people are competitive by nature, and that they're individualistic, and that they're selfish. The real reality is quite the opposite. We have certain human needs. The only way that you can talk about human nature concretely is by recognizing that there's certain human needs. We have a human need for companionship and for close contact, to be loved, to be attached to be accepted, to be seen, to be received for who we are. If those needs are met, we develop into people who are compassionate and cooperative and who have empathy for other people. So the opposite that we often see in our society is in fact the distortion of human nature, precisely because so few people have their needs met. So yes, you can talk about a human nature, but only in the sense of basic human needs that are instinctively evoked, or I should say certain human needs that lead to certain traits if they are met, and a different set of traits if they're denied.
So, when we recognize the fact that the human organism, which has a great deal of adaptive flexibility, allowing us to survive in many different conditions, is also rigidly programmed for certain environmental requirements or human needs, a social imperative begins to emerge. Just as our bodies require physical nutrients, the human brain demands positive forms of environmental stimulus at all stages of development, while also needing to be protected from other negative forms of stimulus. And if things that should happen do not, or if things that shouldn't happen do, it is now apparent that the door can be opened for not only a cascade of mental and physical diseases, but many detrimental human behaviors as well. So as we turn our perspective now outward and take account for the state of affairs today, we must ask the question, is the condition we have created in the modern world actually supporting our health? Is the bedrock of our socioeconomic system acting as a positive force for human and social development and progress? Or is the foundational gravitation of our society actually going against the core evolutionary requirements needed to create and maintain our personal and social well-being?
Is mentally ill? There's nothing wrong with a Southerner or a member of the Ku Klux Klan. That's the environment he was brought up in. And the psychologists today and psychiatrists are so stupid that they deal with the individual. It's really the environment that makes them that way. If you don't understand me, if you were brought up as a little baby, or by the headhunters of the Amazon, so let's say you, and if I said to you, doesn't it bother you to have 10 shrunken heads? You might say, yes, my brother has 20. So he would be perfectly well adjusted where he's coming from. There are no good or bad people. There are people brought up in different environments which they believe in. If you're brought up in Nazi Germany as a baby, all you see is Heil Hitler, Deutschland über alles, meaning Germany above all. You're a Nazi if you never see anything. If you still don't understand me, if you take a nice Jewish boy and bring him up in Nazi family, very young, he's a Nazi. You take a Nazi baby, bring him up by a Jewish family, he's a nice Jewish boy. So really, what are people? People cannot think or reason. Let me back that up now so you don't get mad at me. It's very easy to get mad at what I'm saying. The reason we can't think is because we're brought up in a fixed culture with fixed values. When you're very young, they start pumping crap into your head. Who loves you more than anybody in the world? And the baby says, I don't know, your mommy and daddy. What's the greatest country in the world? I don't know, the good old USA. Of course the good old USA. And you brought up in Saudi Arabia, you brought up in Dubai, you brought up in Germany, same pitch, okay? The only real answer is to declare the earth as the common heritage of all the world's people. And all the resources shared by all the world's people. If you still don't understand that, what we spent in World War II, what we, the Germans, the French, the British, all the money we spent on equipment could have built hospitals all over the world, schools all over the world, wiped out the slums all over the world. How stupid can you be?